Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I see we are slowly coming in, so we will give it just a few more moments as we allow people to continue to join in. We'll get started in just a moment. All right, so I guess we will jump right in. So, first of all, thank you all for joining. We are excited to have you here with us for our national recruitment webinar. And we are going to talk a little bit about Apprenti and the program and answer as many questions as we can for you towards the end. So, be sure to save any questions that you have. So again, thanks, and we will jump right on in. So again, the National Recruitment Webinar, and I am Deidre Brooks, the Strategic Sourcing Manager here with Apprenti. We have just a few housekeeping rules. We can ask any questions. You can put them in the chat. If I'm able to get to them as we go throughout the presentation, I will. If not, we will answer those towards the end because there is going to be a 10-minute Q&A at the end. You have the information and then you can refer back to it later. And again, I'm Deidre Brooks, Strategic Sourcing Manager here at Apprenti. I will be here, it will be 1 year next year, based out of Columbus, Ohio. Recently relocated to Columbus, so here now. My email address is here, so you can jot that down in case there are any follow-up questions that you might have for me after we wrap this. So it's brooks@apprenticareers.org. So we will first talk a little bit just about the agenda. So we'll talk about what the need for Apprenti is, what an actual registered apprenticeship is, the application process for Apprenti, national apprenticeship data, and then we'll get to the Q&A, which I'm sure everyone is going to be excited about. So if you're here, I can imagine that you already know that there are some issues with the current tech talent pipeline. So IT jobs are increasing year over year, but there haven't been enough people to meet the needs for the jobs that are created. So they can't meet the demand. So in 4 years, over course of 4 years, universities produce fewer than 1,000 grads, and we're actually seeing about 5,000 positions over the years. So, 5,000 people need that degree when there are only 1,000 people that are actually receiving that degree. So there's rapid innovation and change and demand, and the education system can't actually keep up with the pace and the shifting needs. So the gap is growing exponentially year over year. So we are here to, address that need. So in addition to addressing that need, our goal is to create a diverse pipeline. So with the sheer number of jobs that are being created, there are other challenges for the IT sector as well. So number one, if we look at the rapid innovation and the changing needs, more so than in any other industry like medicine or law or anything like that. According to CompTIA, about 93% of employers report that there's an overall skills gap in their IT professionals, and they're expressing a disparity between the desired skill set and those that are currently existing with their employees. Two, the education system can't keep pace. We talked a little bit about that previously. So the US is currently producing about 225,000 engineers combined. And then we also know that there is a lack of diversity in the representation. So companies are getting more creative about ways to identify and connect with diverse work groups. And we realize the value of looking beyond just kind of hard tech skills and more at the value placed on the soft skills and life skills and things that you're able to contribute to the organization and the industry as a whole. Women and people of color are underrepresented in this industry. And so we look for people in our circles and we look to identify talent and diversify that because people in the industry, they're currently looking for people that look like them. And, with that, you get more of the same. So our role is to help diversify the pipeline as we move forward in this industry. And companies, they know how to screen for candidates out of college, but not necessarily candidates who may not have that college background or that degree or that competency based program. So companies are looking to Apprenti to help, train for competencies and walk them through the model in a couple of different ways. And we'll talk about that as we move forward. So the Apprenti solution. So we know that there are many people in the US who are either underemployed or unemployed. And we know that there are companies that have a need and they have these roles that need to be filled. So we are creating a new pathway to careers in tech, regardless of your educational background, regardless of your skill set. And we are creating an opportunity that combines education and on the job training to meet the needs of these employers. Registered apprenticeship. So a lot of people get a little bit confused about registered apprenticeships and what that really means. So we'll dive into that just a little bit. So if we back up just a little bit, we'll talk about, what the term apprenticeship actually means. So a registered apprenticeship is often known as a combination of both structured on-the-job training, and that does require a mentor to help with that training, and some related supplemental instruction that upon successful completion of the entire life cycle, the registered apprentice is actually granted their journey levels worker card. Okay. And so, again, what is a registered apprenticeship? So, a registered apprenticeship is a program that falls under the direct supervision of the state and federal law departments, and it's closely monitored and it must meet certain criteria to ensure you are receiving top notch service in this particular program. So, as an apprentice, you'll learn a tech occupation through a combination of both classroom instruction as well as mentored work experience. So, as a registered apprentice, your apprenticeship curriculum and work experience is going to be approved through the U.S. Registered Apprenticeship Program, and that entails a really high standard of training quality and legal requirements that the program must adhere to ensure that you are meeting certain milestones, that you are getting again the best quality education possible. And so we'll talk a little bit about the apprenti process. Now, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be, so bear with me. So, with the apprenti process, the first thing is going to be the interview with apprenti. So, we, select and hire the apprentice. They will go into the apprenticeship with our employer partner. They will receive related technical instruction that is designed by the employer, the mentors, and the managers. Apprenti works very closely with our employer partners to ensure that the curriculum is that it provides you with the education that you can use not only in this particular with this particular organization, but information that's learned can be used anywhere to market yourself, because at that point you will be a skilled laborer and have real hard skills that you've learned in that particular program. So we train to retain. So that's kind of the point of this program. About 86% of our apprentices actually are retained by the employer. So that is the point of the process, to retain and stay with the employer once you have completed the full apprenticeship. So throughout the process, you do have regular meetings with your mentor. You meet with your apprentice um, mentor at different milestones, 1, 5, and at the 10-month mark. And then again, the apprentice is retained. So you complete the program and you are offered a full-time opportunity with the employer that you have completed this apprenticeship. And so We'll talk a little bit about the application process for Apprenti because you have to apply with Apprenti first in order to be placed into one of the apprenticeship cohort. So we'll talk a little bit about the requirements. So we have very simple requirements. You have to be a minimum of 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and be eligible to work in the United States for the duration of the apprenticeship. And there may be a background check that may be required by the employer, depending on who that employer is. And so registration. So when we have people to come into our site, if you have taken a look at it, you will recognize that we don't ask for a lot of information because the process is intended to be non-biased. So we are requiring mainly only the EEO information. So we, require the information. Are you a high school graduate, or do you have GED? Don't ask anything about your college education or where you've worked previously, because none of that really matters, because we will teach you what you need to know in this program. So basically, we are just collecting the information that we have to know. And then from there, you go into the aptitude test. And this test is going to test a few things, but we do provide some amazing resources to help prepare so that you are ready once you move into that part of the process. And at registration, you will be asked to select geographic locations that you're most interested in working in. So that way it helps us to identify who we need to be contacting once we secure opportunities in those various locations. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the apprenticeship is not a career exploration program. It is an opportunity for you to grow and develop in a specific occupation. So we do want you to, kind of do your due diligence and take some time to research and learn what occupation you might actually be interested in. We do have a really great resource on our website that talks about different positions. So the software development analyst, cybersecurity, CRM, CMS developer, and it gives you kind of, some information as to what those positions like. And I also encourage you to, do again your due diligence. Maybe do a day in the life, search the day in the life of that particular role to learn what that might look like. It can give you an idea of what the software analyst might do on a day-to-day basis. And so in the program, you're going to look at the overview, and then you have what we call the RTI, which is the related technical instruction. And as part of the RTI, you'll actually do, some computer hardware, and you'll have some, that's typically done virtually. It ranges anywhere from 9 to 15 weeks, depending on the occupation. But that information will be shared with you prior to you accepting any opportunities. And then there's the on the job training piece, and that's where you will be on campus, on site, with the employer and getting that hands-on experience. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about the assessment. So after you've registered, it's going to take you to take the assessment. And again, I mentioned there are some prep tools that are available to you, just to kind of help you walk through that. That's going to test some math, some logic, critical thinking, some soft skills, things of that nature. Now, each applicant does have a total of 4 assessments, assessment attempts. So 2 attempts upon registration, and then you have 2 additional attempts, a 90-day waiting period in between. So you do have to have an 80 or above to be eligible for consideration. And just know once a section is started, it must be completed during that session, but all 3 sections do not have to be completed in order or in the same session. So there's a 10-day window to complete all 3 sessions once an attempt in any section has been started. So we do use the highest score from section out of all of the assessment attempts to calculate your overall score. and all three sections are included in each attempt. So if you only retake one portion, you would receive a zero for the other portions. And so for the apprentice screening, so we have the phone interview, the staff interview, and the employer interview. So once you've passed the assessment with the total overall score of 80 or above, as opportunities come up, we actually reach out to individuals that are in our eligibility pool to kind of share with them those different opportunities. And as I mentioned to you, we are a national organization. So at that time, we will share with you what the opportunity is, where the opportunity is, and that's why it's also important to make sure you keep all of your information updated in your profile so that if your geographic location changes, we'll be aware of that and we'll be able to, better identify individuals for various opportunities. So we will pull individuals based on their occupational selections, as well as their geographic interests. So first is going to be, again, the phone screen and the staff interview, and that's when you're going to kind of chat with members of Apprenti. It's going to be a behavioral interview, and it's going to just give us an opportunity to learn more about you and your interests and to see if you would be a good fit for the program overall. And then it's going to help to identify what your occupational preferences truly are. And during that process, we have a really great team of program managers that can offer advice and kind of coach you and give you some, some feedback as you move forward in the process. If you are successful in that part of the process, you would then be moved on to the employer interview, where you connect one on one with our employer partner. That interview is typically about 30 to 60 minutes long. It is behavioral based, and it isn't going to be tech focused. So if you don't have a tech background, no worries there. They are going to be looking more so to learn more about you and how you are able to contribute and add value to the program. And so I am a native Memphian, so I always like to talk about the grit piece. We talk about the valuable character traits. So the grit and grind is going to be something that's going to, help you get through this program because it is, a pretty vigorous program. Collaboration and intellectual curiosity. And, the tech sector expects a great deal of self direction and problem solving out of those that are in this program. And so much of the success of any apprentice will rely basically on their behavior and their attitude. So when considering candidates for this program, we look for these three characteristics, and we found that the majority of the apprentices that have been the most successful, they have these three characteristics. So it is also important that you remember that this is a learning process, and it doesn't just when you leave the classroom. So the OJT experience is going to be super important and just as valuable in your process as you go through it. Okay, so selection. So if you are successful in both the testing portion, the interview portion, and the hiring manager interview, um, enrolled in our technical training, and then you will actually begin the apprenticeship. So you will be moved on to the program. So we'll talk a little bit about the National Apprentice data. So we'll talk about this and kind of what it is and what the return is for the individual. So 28% of individuals were employed before they joined our program, and apprentices are more than doubling their income in 1 year. So that gives you an idea of how into a career in IT can help to elevate your overall career. So we receive a portable credential at the completion of the apprenticeship. So you will have that to again market yourself anywhere. And the program is built in such that we want employers and apprentices to continue to work together after their apprenticeship is done. And that's sometimes it's not always a perfect fit, and we acknowledge that, And this is why we want the individuals to gain all of the skills that they have with that portable credential, because again, you can use that to market yourself anywhere. So even if you stay on with the employer, and we imagine that you will, eventually you may end up with a new employer, and we want to make sure that you, as a software developer, you are not just one who's been trained to say to work at that particular organization, but you could also work at Kohl's or Apprenti or DRW or anywhere. You can use what you've learned to go anywhere. And we want you to be gaining the skills to be a successful employer with your given employer, but also to have a broad enough knowledge base that you could take those anywhere. And we've also included some different pathways to apprenticeship. So, whatever your previous career was, don't be afraid to make the transition into tech. We talk a lot about transferable skills. If you think about your current role, always think about things that you have done in that current role and how it can be valuable in this new setting. It may not be the same thing, but you can look at whatever it is that you've been able to do and how it can transition and be of value in that new role. So I'll also note that the average age of our apprentice is 32, but we've placed apprentices as young as 18 and some as old as 65. So never be afraid to make that transition. Always be aware of the value that you're able to add and be able to speak to that as well. So the apprentice impact. So we look at the median salary before the apprenticeship. So people come in making about 42,000. During the apprenticeship, it is a paid apprenticeship, so we make sure we don't believe in unpaid work. So the median salary for our apprenticeship is about 67,000, and that does include benefits. And then the median salary, once retained by the employer, is 85,000. So more than doubling their salary over a year and learning an occupation that, most often they would not have had the opportunity to get into without the apprentice program. And so, we have some amazing hiring partners, just a few, Kohl's, Wayfair, JP Morgan Chase, DRW, and we have a great team that is, they work diligently to connect us with more hiring partners that are mission aligned and recognize the need to diversify the IT community. So we are growing and meeting with new employer partners daily. We do have some upcoming opportunities in the Atlanta area, some things coming up early next year in Austin, Texas, Ashburn, Virginia. So those are just, a few things that we have coming up. Chicago. So, if you're, I saw, Chicago and Atlanta in the chat. So we have some things coming up in those areas. So definitely start the process now. And I think Emma is on the line. She is part of our wonderful, she leads our wonderful accommodations team. And, we aim to make sure that the program is accessible to anyone and everyone, regardless of any, special needs or any disabilities or anything like that. And we acknowledge that some people may need some different accommodations. So this is the way to reach out to our accommodations team if there is some additional help needed. So it's accommodations at apprenticareers.org. And that phone number is 206 513 7924. And we have now reached our Q&A session. And I will kind of go into our chat and see if I can, let's see. Okay, so if you have been in the pool and you've already completed the assessment, you won't need to redo an assessment. So again, we are employer based. So what that means is we don't have positions rolling every day. They say, hey, we have a need in Ashburn, Virginia, or we have a need in Atlanta, or we have a need in Chicago. So we go where our employer partners have that need. So that's why it's important to keep that information updated in your profile. So as we have those opportunities, we'll reach out to individuals in those areas. And the wait may be longer for some in some areas, but we do try to get to everyone as quickly as possible. And like I said, we're growing exponentially. So as we continue to, grow and develop additional partnerships with additional employer partners, we'll be able to provide more opportunities. Um, it's best to select a geographic location because that's how we are going to pull people. And you can note if you are open to relocation there as well. Okay, so we don't provide updates on applications. So once you have actually completed the process and you have passed with 80% or above, you are in our pool. You are in our eligibility pool. So that means you don't have to, wait for updates or anything like that. You don't have to check our site to see what's happening. We'll proactively reach out to you when we have something in your area of interest, something that is in your geographic location or something that is in the area of interest that you noted. Okay. Has the registration process changed? I'm trying to get to all the questions. Has the registration process has not changed within the last year? Okay. Percentage. Now, I can't say exactly when the opportunities are coming in Chicago, but they are slated for next year. We do have some things working. I know in May in the Atlanta, Ashburn, and Austin, Texas area. I've mentioned the areas that I am aware of, but again, we are growing exponentially. It could change from day to day. So we will reach out as those opportunities come up. And the wait time varies. So it varies depending on, again, the location and the opportunity. Some areas have more, we have more employer partners and we have more of a need in certain areas. So it varies. So as far as how long the wait is, some people wait 6 months, some people wait longer. It just depends on the need of our employer partners. And I also encourage people, a lot of people do not get excited about things that are not immediately tangible. But I definitely encourage people to go in and take the assessment, even if I did not mention an area that has something coming up, because again, we're growing and things change from day to day. And I have two little people, I call them my Ninja Turtles, and I know that it would probably take me a minute to get through an assessment. So I know people have other things that they have to take care of as far as real life. So sometimes it takes people a little time to get through the assessment. So you want to go ahead and get through the assessment and actually into the pool. So that way you're in the pool. So that way when we do have those opportunities in those areas, some that I may not have mentioned, you're already in the pool, so that way we can reach out to you. So we aren't able to reach out to you if you are not in the eligibility pool. So making sure to get through the assessment and be a part of that pool, so that when we do secure those, we're able to reach out to you. That's the most important part. I know sometimes you think you have a lot of time, but sometimes we have employers that come in and they're like, we need something now, and then we have to go in and see who we have. So the important part is to go in, complete the assessment, become part of the pool, so that when we do have those opportunities, we can start to reach out to you. As far as how long you'll be considered, your eligibility does not expire. So if you apply and you receive that 80% or above, you are in the pool and you are eligible for consideration. So you do not have to reapply after, 6 months if you have not, received a call in a year. You don't have to reapply or any of that. Once you are in the pool, you are eligible and you are someone that we would reach out to if we have an opportunity in your area. We typically reach out via email. So definitely make sure that all of your information is updated as far as your contact information. We've seen a lot of things as far as software dev, cybersecurity. So we have some things and it's growing. And I'm trying to get to all of the questions. We Again, it's employer based, so it varies. I can't say that we have more of one or the other because it just depends on our employer. So sometimes they come in and say we do need some UX. Sometimes they say we need more cyber. Sometimes they say we need more software dev. So it's based on our employer partners. And we do, our team does a great job of communicating that to our candidates. So when we reach out, we'll let you know exactly what it is that we're recruiting for. So if it's a software position, we'll let you know what the position is, the organization that it's with, the salary, the dates, because sometimes things don't align. But making sure you're in that pool, that helps us to get in touch with you and actually provide you with the option to choose those positions or not. So um, make sure you start by going onto the site and applying and completing the assessment and actually becoming a part of the pool. So when do we select them based on geographical location? Basically, so we are going, if we say we need some people in Atlanta, we are going to go and pull our pool of people in Atlanta first. And then we're going to, and again, that goes back to keeping your information updated. So we are going to look in that area. If we don't have enough people in that area, we will start to expand it. What were some resources? I'm sorry, it moved a little fast for me. I think it said, what are some resources? There was a question. We do have some remote positions, but those are few and far between. So I can, if you can email, someone asked a question about updating their profile. If you can email info@apprenticareers.org, we can give you the instructions on how to update your profile information. Recommendations on how to be proactive in the meantime. Um, my recommendation, my background is in recruitment, my recommendation would be to continue to do research on the industry that you're interested in moving into. Also, do some practice interviews. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with the STAR method. That is one of the resources that we provide to help you and assist you with the interview process. So, helping you to be able to speak to your specific skill set, helping you to learn a little bit more about how to talk about transferable skills and how you're able to contribute to that particular organization. I'll quickly tell you guys a story about a gentleman that we had that was a shift lead at Burger King. And while he had never done any IT, he did have, supply chain management. He had operations skills and he had customer service skills. And he was able to talk about the skills that he obtained as a shift lead at Burger King. And he was able to talk about those skills and how he was able to use those skills and say, I can contribute to this organization using these skills in this way. And he was able to move from, being a shift lead at Burger King to making six figures. So I definitely encourage people to, do mock interviews and, start to talk about yourself. Start to think about some of your success stories. I jot down success stories, things when opportunities where I was, I call it a rock star, my rock star moments, things I did that, were outstanding, where I was able to contribute to my team in a certain type of way. Be able to speak to those stories because, during behavioral type interviews, you're going to say, tell me about a time. So think about those times that you excelled in a particular area and be able to speak to those and share those stories with individuals during the interview process. And at this time, we don't post the positions. We do have the team that reaches out to you all proactively. So, it takes the work off of you. You don't have to worry about looking and seeing if we have opportunities. If there's something in the area, we're going to reach out to you. And it is okay if you check multiple boxes. And so it's it is kind of a first come first serve. I think there's a question about the number of people in the pool, and that's why I encourage you to go ahead and get in the pool because we do reach out to the people who have been in the pool the longest. So if you are, waiting, you probably want to go ahead and get into the pool. But then sometimes people have accepted positions and they aren't interested. Sometimes the timing does not work. Sometimes they have relocated. So we kind of move to the next person in line. So again, I encourage you to go ahead and start the process, get into the pool so that as those opportunities come up, you're able to reach out to you. Okay. And again, someone asked if how to update their information in their profile. If you send an email to info@apprenticareers.org, we can provide you with those instructions. Okay, the question is once someone has become part of the pool, can they do anything proactively to increase their chances of starting in an apprenticeship? Um, as far as increasing your chances, once we've identified a role in your area, yes, I kind of just mentioned, some mock interviews, researching the organization that you would be working for, researching the position that you would be moving into, so that you can speak to some of those. How will a candidate be considered for the next level after passing the assessment? Is it prioritized by date of the assessment? Yes. How many apprentices were initiated for the year of 2023? We have an apprenticeship graduation coming up soon, and are all welcome to attend. We have over 300 apprentices that were placed for the year 2023. If a position is available that would require relocation, is relocation assistance available? Apprenti does not provide relocation assistance. However, there are some organizations that we work with that do provide relocation assistance, and that would be handled with that particular employer. Yes, so our website, can you provide the website and information again about the company? So the website is apprenticareers.org. Stop sharing my screen now. Apprenticareers.org. Okay. Looking for some questions that I have not already answered. The question is if you score higher on the assessment, does that give you a better chance? As long as you receive an 80% or above, you are considered eligible for consideration. So if you have an 80 or an 85, it does not give you preferential treatment based on that particular score. Okay. I'll go back to the Q&A. And I will send you a link to our Apprenti graduation. I'll include that here so that anyone that is interested in joining can actually connect and see some of our rock stars for the year. It is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And I'll put it here in the chat. Okay. Just adding additional occupation interest roles that you're realistically interested in increase the chances of getting selected. Yes, it does. So the more roles or opportunities that you're interested in, the more opportunities that are available to you. Because if someone is looking for cybersecurity analysts, but you've only selected that you're interested in software dev, then we wouldn't reach out to you, if that's not something that you've shown interest in. And we want to make sure that you are being placed in a role that you truly do want to learn more about and you truly do want a career in. So we definitely encourage you to, be very selective and again do your due diligence and make sure you understand the roles and or have a general understanding of the role and that's something that you would be excited to be a part of. Okay, and I will post info at someone is asking for the email address to for instructions on updating the profile, and I'll put it in the chat as well. There's a question about the Good Jobs Challenge program. I am not sure about that. Isaac, you can email us at info@apprenticareers.org and we can get that answer to you. I don't think that is going to be an issue, but email us that question just so that we can confirm and get you a solid answer on that. How is the in class how is the in class learning set up? So the RTI, the technical training is typically done virtually. And again, it varies depending on the role. So it could be anywhere from 9 to 15 weeks. Again, it is done virtually. It is paid as well. So we don't believe in unpaid work. So the technical training is done virtually and it is paid as well. Okay, and I'll repeat one more time. So right now, what I know we have that we are currently recruiting for, we have some things coming up in the Chicago area. We have Houston, we have Austin, Texas, Atlanta, Georgia, Ashburn, Virginia. I'm trying to see if looking for questions that I have not already answered, some newer questions. And right now, we don't post the positions on our website. So you will not be able to check our site to see what areas have open opportunities. Again, we have a team that reaches out to you proactively, so you will not have to do any checking of the site. Tatiana asked if I could say which opportunities are coming to Houston. Let me check my nice little folder. Okay, so at this point, I'm not at liberty to say. However, when we reach out to people in our candidate pool, we share that information at that time. So as you are contacted for these upcoming opportunities, that's when all that information is shared with you, the positions, the employer partners, salaries, dates, and things of that nature. And if you are willing to relocate on your own, um, absolutely. If you are willing to relocate and you are open to moving to any of those areas that I previously mentioned, you can go in, update your profile, and include that as part of your geographic interest, and um, that way you would have more opportunity to be reached out to for those roles. Yes. We're working. We have a really great team that works to identify employer partners. And I think one of the most important things is that we work to identify employer partners that are mission aligned, that recognize the need to diversify this industry, and also that are on board, because we don't just provide training to the apprentices. We train our employers as well. We provide them training to ensure that they are able to provide you, the apprentice, with the best experience possible, to ensure that they are, making sure that you're meeting all of the necessary milestones, that you are truly learning the IT skill that you have signed up for. So, it does take time for us to, find those partners. But when we find partners, we find really great partners that are excited to work with both you as well as us. Okay, we are just about at time. I thank you all for joining us. Again, I included the information for our graduation for tomorrow. Please feel free to join us. We have some great things happening. We have some um, some of our apprentices talking and sharing kind of their experiences, and I appreciate you stopping by today. And again, I can't stress the importance of, starting the process. They say you can't win the lottery if you don't play. So, if you're not in the pool, wouldn't be able to reach out to you if there was, an opportunity in your area. So I strongly encourage you to, start that process. And that way, once we have something, you'll be, eligible for consideration. So it's an amazing program. I've seen some amazing things happen from it. We, work very, very hard to ensure that those in this program receive the best care possible. I can't explain, how important or how well this program is set up, and how, how people have really advanced in their careers, and how it has been life changing for a number of our apprentices. So again, thank you so much for joining. If you have any follow-up questions, you can send those to me directly. I'll put my email here again. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to us. But thank you again. We appreciate your time, and you all have a wonderful and amazing rest of your week. You're so welcome. Thanks. Have a good one, guys.